The next day...
Good morning. Awake already, I see.
Mm-hmm. Have you had breakfast yet? Do you need something?
Well... Ulrik said I looked like I would be sick once we start moving, so I decided to just eat light. I wonder what he meant by that.
I don't know. He didn't say anything to me, so I guess he thought I looked alright. Well, Ulrik knows. I trust Ulrik's judgment.
Good morning.
Adage looks like he's going to be sick.
Definitely. Huh? What's that supposed to mean?
Just something we were talking about. How do you feel?
Well enough, I suppose. Better than when I first arrived. Are we taking vehicles on this expedition? I'm dreading it already. I went to bed thinking I should ration our supplies more carefully, but I've changed my mind. I'm medicating. I'll just go a little heavier on the autonomic ataxia drugs than yesterday.
What on earth is that noise? It almost sounds like the engine on the lift, but we're nowhere near that.
Cyrus, over there!
What are we looking at? I looked where Finn was pointing to see something hanging unnaturally in the sky. It wasn't the sun or the moon. It appeared dark and artificial. Ulrik's theme is playing, so his invention, I guess? The noise grew to a roar as it approached, and the wind kicked up, blowing my hair around. Just as I was wondering whether to take shelter, I heard a familiar voice call out.
Hey! Don't move from where you're standing! You could get caught up in the propellers and die!
Ulrik?
Propellers? What do you mean we could die?
Just do as he says, Finn. It looks like one of his inventions. The contraption stopped a short distance away from us and began to descend. Plane? Once it was a dozen or so centimeters from the ground, Ulrik hopped off.
Thanks for listening to me. There, that should be good.
Ulrik, what on earth?
Welcome to the future of transportation. I call it a buggy.
You call this flying thing a buggy?
Is that the same buggy you were talking about yesterday?
Was I? Oh yeah, Vice mentioned it. Yep, this is it. You have a good memory. Originally, I was working on a vehicle to replace horse-drawn carriages, but that was child's play. Excessive speed increased the risk of accidents, though, so I had to shelve it.
Right, I thought you were working on, like, a car. Or, sorry, a buggy. But now you just add, what did you do? Did you add, like, propeller and wings to a car? What have you done, Ulrik?
I did some experimentation to see if I could use the same technology for a different project, and this is what I came up with. It can move over land or through the air. Impressive, huh?
That is pretty impressive. Yeah, it's really impressive. Can we ride it too?
Of course. I mean, that's the whole reason I brought it here. There's no telling how far the fog extends, but this thing is several times faster than a carriage, so we should be able to tear through it in no time. Well, let's get going. Does everyone have all their belongings? You're not forgetting anything?
I'm all set. What about you two?
I'm good to go. Same here, whenever you're ready.
You're all pretty excited. I guess that'll wear off, though. During the test flight, everyone but me was scared stiff. Vice was clinging to me the whole time, screaming. No matter how scared you get, do not, under any circumstances, get in the way of my piloting. I really don't want to die in a crash.
Piloting? You mean it's not automatic like the lift? You're controlling it.
It just has simple controls for going up and down, forward and back, and turning left or right. I should be able to fully automate it in the future, but there are lots of hurdles to overcome, so that's still a long ways off. Alright, everyone's on board.
What a strange smell. It really feels like I'm riding a machine.
You're sure it won't crash?
Yep, as long as you don't get in the way while I'm controlling it. My test flights have had a 100% success rate.
That's very impressive.
I see.
Are you scared?
It's instinctive. Humans aren't meant to leave the ground.
Ha! That's rich coming from someone who lives in the heights. No, I guess you're different. You used to live in the Sanctuary District as a criminal, after all.
Nice goggles. It's so good.
Well, let's get going. It'll be pretty rough at first, so hold on to those handles next to you. And do not let go.
What's that over your eyes?
Goggles. They're the ones I wear when I do my tinkering. I brought them to protect me from the wind. There are times when I can't even keep my eyes open without them.
It's really shaking. Are you sure this thing is safe?
Would you stop asking that? Yes, it's safe. And if anything does happen, Cyrus is in charge.
Dang, thanks, Ulrik. He trusts us. I am?
Yeah, aren't you?
You're the one leading this expedition, so shouldn't you be in charge? Look, Finn is nodding his head too.
Oh, come on. Do I really have to? I know I organized it, but I think you're way more qualified. Fine, I guess we can share responsibility. Anyway, the wind looks good and engine conditions are optimal. Off we go!
We're flying. We're off. It's so pixely. I can't believe it. The ground is getting farther and farther away. I wrapped a nearby rope around my hand and carefully peered down, taking care not to fall out. The people had become tiny dots and the buildings looked like toys. They're all so far away.
What are you doing? Don't lean so far out.
Sorry, I was just thinking about the heights. Everything's almost unrecognizable from here. To think that the heights, the place I was born and raised, looks like this from below. It's interesting. I've never been this close before.
Interesting, huh? You're acting so normal, like this is no big deal for you.
Okay. I mean, Ulrik is obviously unbothered, so I would assume the top one's probably for him. One of these is Finn and Adage, probably. But I think I could be pretty safe with saying it doesn't bother me at all. Yeah, there it is. It doesn't bother me at all.
How strange.
What? But you're acting completely normal too!
Because for me, this is normal. Which is to say that I'm anything but. But I've been in way more dangerous situations than this before, so I'm not that concerned. Besides, I'm the one piloting, so even if I die, I know I'm responsible.
And what about the rest of us, you idiot? Are we supposed to just be okay with that? We're as good as dead if we fall from this height. Please get me back in one piece!
Yeah, I got it.
Poor Adage, I feel him so much.
Oops, sorry, it might get a little bumpy.
What do you mean what? I lost my balance and grabbed onto Ulrik's arm to steady myself. Sorry, I know you're piloting.
It's alright. I fixed the control handles in place in case we hit a headwind.
Aw, he didn't even yell at her. Hooray. Oh my god, it literally is a car with like a blimp attached. Oh, that's great. It's the only way to travel.
Alright, we're almost there. Do you all see that?
See what? You mean that white haze?
Yeah, that's the fog that that no one from the depths has ever been able to cross. But that ends today! The future starts now! Visibility is going to get pretty bad, so be careful, and make sure to hang on tight. You'd better tie those safety ropes around yourselves just to be on the safe side, alright?
Wait! I'm not...
I can't wait! Get ready!
We were approaching the massive white barrier at incredible speed. I reflexively shut my eyes the moment the buggy made contact. There was no impact, and frigid air caressed my cheeks. I can really feel the vibrations with my eyes closed. I could hear Finn and Adage groaning over the sound of the wind. Ulrik wasn't saying anything, so it must not have been too serious. I opened my lids slightly to see what was going on around me. Holding my hand up did nothing to shield me from the wind, and I had to keep blinking. So this is what it's like inside the white barrier.
It's basically just a dense fog with zero visibility. Kind of a letdown, to be honest. I was expecting to have to deal with lightning bolts or heavy storms or something.
It's good we don't have to worry about any of that, though. Oh, the sky's clearing up.
Yeah, the readings say... Oh shit.
What's wrong?
It's nothing. We're fine.
It's obviously not nothing. I just heard you say, oh shit.
You're like Elt with those ears. It's just a minor issue. The instruments are all giving errors.
Is it a problem if you can't use the instruments?
Not really. I wanted to check our speed, altitude, and heading, but they're not super critical since we're in the air.
So just a little critical, then.
All we really need are speed and altitude to stay airborne. Except I can't get readings on either of those right now. It just means I'll have to be extra careful setting us down. Oh! Look, there's something in the distance!
Hey! It's... the other side of the fog! I looked where Ulrik was pointing to see what appeared to be some sort of settlement. I do declare we've arrived. There was nothing else but brown earth as far as the eye could see.
Maybe we should stop and check it out. Although it might just be a ghost town. I'm not sure where we are, so I could be wrong, but... I read in a book that way back, before the Great Flood, there used to be a river running through here, and that a civilization developed alongside it. Their religion and system of government was unlike anything we know now. I was kind of hoping I'd be overwhelmed by new and exciting things. It looks like this is all there is. I'm pretty disappointed. Oh shit.
Stop saying that about everything! Can't you use some other word instead? At least tell me it's nothing to worry about.
It's time to worry. It's fine. Probably. Except...
What's going on?
we're losing altitude for some reason. Wait, let me check something. Okay, we don't seem to be leaking fuel, and we haven't gone into a dive either. Maybe the problem is... Well, I can think about it later. Right now I need to set us down before we crash.
Are we still heading for the settlement?
Yeah, we just won't be able to fly. There don't seem to be any major obstructions, so we can get there by land. I'm taking us down now. Everybody hold on tight.
Ulrik steadily brought us closer to the ground. It's like sand or something.
No, it's not like sand, it is sand. It's blowing in the wind. I'll bet it gets in my mouth. Ugh, I didn't become a doctor to go on adventures like this. I suppose it's too late to complain now, though. Agreed. I became a police officer to maintain peace and protect the people.
You're still living in the past. Things are different now. The police are branching out, and this is just part of it. We have to expand our knowledge to serve the Heights.
I wish I could share your enthusiasm. Whoa!
Safely down. I like that Adage is just becoming McCoy. Bones from Star Trek, just like complaining about, I'm a doctor, not a pilot. What's going on?
We're on the ground. Everybody get out for now.
The sand is so fine. It's going to make walking hard.
Yes, I'll bet it gets in my shoes. And the heat is enough to die. This is a terrible first impression. All I can see is sand in every direction. Which way are we going?
Wait a second. Don't start wandering off. Nobody wants to travel on foot, right?
Ulrik said, remaining aboard the buggy even after telling the rest of us to get out. He looked like he was working on something. I could see him using a tool to loosen the screws on the part he had called the propeller earlier.
Well, this is terrible. What are we supposed to do? Call for a horse?
Haha, this thing is way faster than a horse. I'm switching off the buggy's flight capabilities and putting it in driving mode. All I have to do is switch out this part. This sand is so annoying.
Do you need any help?
Can you clear the sand out of here? You don't have to get every last bit. It could break if you're not careful with it. Machines are honestly really delicate. It looks like a little sand got inside, but this should be good enough. Alright, everyone hop back in. I oriented the headlights toward our destination when I set us down, so all we should have to do is go straight.
Well, that's clever. Are we off? It's so fast. How does this thing move anyway?
Well, it's basically just like a horse-drawn carriage, except the horse has been replaced by fuel and machinery.
Oh, you said you had made something to replace horse-drawn carriages, didn't you?
That's right. It would be nice if I could use it in the depths, too, but it's just not compatible with all the pedestrians in the streets. And driving slowly is nothing but a waste of fuel. Even if they updated the roads, it would still probably require completely changing the city's layout. I could submit a request, but it would be an uphill battle.
It looks like the sun is on its way down. Do you have any idea how much farther?
Let me see. Probably not more than a day or so.
Oh, I was hoping to be there before nightfall. It seems dangerous here.
I agree. We'll get by somehow, though.
You're awfully optimistic.
It's because I've already made up my mind. This is going to happen one way or another. Besides, now what?
Is something wrong?
I'm not sure. Let me stop and check it out.
Maybe it just doesn't like sand. It's coarse and it gets everywhere. The sun will be setting in a little while. I don't want to get in his way, but it had been about an hour since Ulrik started working on the buggy. Adage and Finn were keeping quiet, but every now and then I heard a faint sigh from one of them. I should ask what's going on to try and improve morale. Have you figured out what the problem is, Ulrik?
I think so. But I'm going to have to call it a day soon. It'll be a lot harder to keep working once night falls.
You mean we're going to have to camp out here? I wish I had at least brought a sleeping bag.
Haha, don't worry. I always come prepared. I've got something way better than a sleeping bag. Check this out.
Using both hands to shut the buggy's rear hatch, Ulrik climbed back inside and sat in the operator's seat. He inserted a small key into a keyhole near the controls, and when he turned it slightly to the right... Okay, fancy. A tent?
That's right. Not only can you drive over the ground and fly through the air in this thing, you can also camp out in it. You can use it to go anywhere.
You really have thought of everything.
Well, in theory at least. I'll bet the reason we lost altitude was because of all the features I loaded it with. I don't really want to take anything out, though. Anyway, let's see. For provisions, I've got canned goods and sweets. And drinking water, too, of course. I can even boil it if we need hot water. Although I'm afraid showers are out of the question until we find a place to replenish our supply. But I guess it should be alright to use a little to wipe yourself down.
Wow, you're awfully thoughtful.
Not really. I included all this stuff for me. You guys just happen to be along for the ride. After all, why not travel in comfort? Being uncomfortable is just going to take a toll on the body and mind until it drives you crazy. Alright, I brought enough food for today at least. Help yourselves.
What should I have? Canned food, sweets, just water. I wonder which one Ulrik would like. I'm gonna go on a limb here and say sweets. Yep. I'll have these cookies.
Be careful. They're hard as a rock, so you'll hurt yourself if you eat them too fast.
Wow, these are tough.
I told you. But they keep forever, and they're good at filling you up. Don't underestimate them just because they're sweets. I'd honestly be fine with just these, but Elt is trying to develop a sort of pasta that will keep without going bad. It's the height of idiocy if you ask me, but what more do I expect from that guy?
Do you mean like cooked pasta that doesn't go bad? Because I'm like, you know, dried pasta lasts a long time. Does he want to have it be cooked first? You can preserve pasta?
Not as it is. It spoils too easily. But I suppose if you have preserved pasta, you could keep the sauce in cans, too. The problem is with cooking it. Pasta requires a lot of water, right? That makes it next to useless in an emergency. Even if you could make it last forever, what are you going to do with it? It just seems like a crazy dream to me.
Crazy dreams about pasta. Alright, well, I guess we're camping out here. Hey! Later that evening. Hold on. There we go. There's our camp. Once we had finished eating, we discussed the expedition. Should we turn back or keep going? It wasn't like the group was split over it, but... Even so, I think we should know where everyone stands, so I'd like to hear your opinions.
Oh, I'll bet you'd like to hold a debate and then vote on it, wouldn't you? You seem the type. I abstain. As long as I'm unable to get home under my own power, my life is in your hands. I'll go along with what everyone else decides, so just do what you want.
And he's gone. Adage grabbed his blanket and rolled over, turning his back to the stove as if to excuse himself from the discussion. He even pulled the blanket over his head so he wouldn't have to listen to us. So petty!
I also don't have a strong preference. I guess I feel like forging ahead is the right thing to do. The buggy isn't in great shape, but it's not totally broken down either. Aren't you curious about what lies on the other side of those hills over there?
Of course I'm curious. We finally made it through the fog, so I want to see what's out here. What about you, Cyrus?
I'm in complete agreement. I would be so disappointed if all I could report was that we found lots of sand. Just like Finn said, I want to know what's on the other side of those hills.
Right.
It looks like we're going to proceed as is, then. Good meeting, everyone. Good meeting. I let out a deep sigh that came out white before vanishing into the night air. It got really cold the moment the sun went down, didn't it?
It never rains here, and there's nothing to block the light from the sun.
What did that mean? I wondered to myself as Ulrik continued.
There are no trees or obstructions of any kind, right? That means there's no water to evaporate from the surface and condense in the air. That's why it's so hot in the daytime. And then at night it's the opposite. The heat from the ground dissipates into the air immediately. That's why it gets cold so fast.
You talk like you've been here before.
Why? Because I know so much? I've never been here, and if I had, I wouldn't have camped out overnight. I grew up with a massive library of books that had been handed down from generation to generation. That's where I learned everything. That library had information on history and geography from before the flood. I even copied a map from one of them thinking it might come in handy, but it hasn't. I have no idea where we are. I think the landscape has just changed too much. There was supposed to be a tropical forest here, but I haven't seen so much as a single blade of grass. I'll keep watch over the stove to make sure it doesn't go out. You two get some sleep.
Should we take shifts?
There's no need. I'm used to it, so I can make it until morning. Come on, get some rest already.
All right. Thank you. Good night. What beautiful stars. I'll see you tomorrow, Finn.
Yes, see you tomorrow. Good night.